Hey guys, today I'm going to be going over how to use all of the tools on the makerpen. Now I'm going to be joined with Sora and Vandal in this one, and we're going to go over all of them, and yeah, let's get into it. Now that we're in our room, what we want to do is we're going to pull out our makerpen. You're going to do this by going to your backpack and clicking use on your makerpen, and it'll pop up in front of you. If we open it up, this is what most of the video is going to be about, is these different modes. I'm going to be going over the top bit, while Sora will be going over the bottom. First one I'm going to go over is probably the most simple one of them all, the create tool. Once you click the create tool, it will open up your palette. You can also just open it up in your top left corner. And you can open up, there's a bunch of shapes, there's a bunch of circuits, there is a bunch of props, and there's a lot you can use, but for now we're just going to use a cube. Now you select what you want. As long as you're in the create button, you just hold your trigger and you can drag it and make yourself a cube, and you just release your trigger when you're done making it. Now you can see this button right here, this done editing button. Once we're done with that, we won't be making the cube anymore. It's completely done. However, we can edit the cube and continue working on it. So right now the cube is its own shape, but we can click the edit tool and edit it, and now we can add on to it, so we can create more cubes for it. And then we can just either click done editing, or you can just drop your makerpen, and now it's still one big shape altogether because we edited it and added on to it. You can also click the move button, and you can move whatever object you want in different directions and different axes. You can also just move it freely. You can also change the snapping on the top. So we turn it off. It's super smooth. You can move it. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Good thing there's a undo move object button. But yeah, you can just move this however you like. You can change it onto grid snapping as well. And it's kind of hard to see, but it's moving cubely on like a grid. There's also a rotate button. So let's say we wanted the players to face the other side. You can just rotate it. You can also rotate it in different ways, upside down, to the side, however you'd like. There's also a scale, which you can use to scale up the entire object. You can also edit your object and then click scale, and you can move these specific parts in different sides. So let's say we want to make this specific cube taller. We can just do this top part and just move it up, click done editing, and boom. But if we did it without editing the entire object and we scaled it up, it would just scale the entire thing to make it bigger or smaller. There's also a select tool. Now I'm going to get another object for this example. So you can just select multiple items at once. That way you can configure multiple items at the same time. So let's say we want to move both these items to across the room. We would make sure we selected both of them, and then we just move them to all the way over there. Or you can just move them more freely. Let's turn off snapping. You can move them more freely and move them all the way over here. And then we can move them back. Oh wait, no, we have to select both of them again. Hold on. Select this one and this one. And then you can move them all at once. You can also rotate them at once and do whatever you want. Next tool we have is the wire tool. Now, if we go to our gadgets, you can see there's a bunch of different things over here. We're going to ignore the gadgets right here. All these are called chips. Now, this is all called CV1. You can use it to add a lot of more systems to your games to give it to more of an actual real game feel. Like, let's say you wanted to make a door that when you touch it, it opens, right? You would need to use circuits for that. Stuff like that, it involves this. I'm not going to do a whole dive into circuits, but I am going to just show you how to use the wire tool. So these chips don't really make sense right now, but you can use the wire tool to wire these little side cubes to the other side cubes. This is your inputs, these are your outputs. These are called pins. So you can move them to connect them to create a whole system using these pins. Let me see if I can give you a quick example. I'm going to go to math chips, get a random chip, and then get a button. Now, I'm just going to go over this chip real quick. I'm not going to do too much with it. We're going to wire this red pin to this red pin. Essentially, see how it looks like a dice? It'll spin between the minimum and the maximum and output the number that is spun. So, also, here's like another quick tool example while we're going over this. You can click the configure tool and configure it, and now you can configure the value. So we're going to configure it to 6. So it'll find the highest number will be 5. And essentially, you can just click this button, and it'll spin a random number. See, it's spun 4. So that's kind of how you use the wire tool. You use it to, to use circuits and create whole systems for your game. Okay, now before we move on, I'm just going to go back to the configure just for real quick. You can use it to change properties of objects. So we can configure this. We can make it respawn. We can click respawn, make it 3 seconds. So basically, when we move this, it'll go back to its original state after 3 seconds. See? It respawns. You can also configure it and change the physics mode to sticky, decorational, physical. You can also edit the tags of an object. You can make it, make it from not grabbable. So now you can't grab the object anymore. You can do this for everything, or almost everything, for circuits, for random shapes, for props, and you can change their properties. There's also the clone button, which we can use. Actually, I'm gonna turn off respawn. But you can also clone objects. So let's say I wanted more of this, or another couple more balls, little spheres. There we go. That's pretty much all you can do with it.
This is what recoloring is. So once you hit recolor, you can select materials and colors. And then if you want to recolor something, you simply press your trigger and it'll be recolored. Next is freezing. Freezing an object pretty much just locks it into its current position or status. So obviously we can grab and throw this cube around. But if I wanted to freeze it in its position, I would select freeze, hit down on my trigger, let's say object frozen. Now I can't grab it, and I can't delete it, because it is frozen. Next is delete. This will simply delete whatever you have selected. Pretty self-explanatory. And then this is manipulate. It pretty much just allows you to adjust current object, whether it be scaling up, down, the height, the width, and so on.
Hello, my name is Vandal, and today I'm going to be teaching you the entire second page of the tube settings. So, we're going to start with tube size. As you can see, I have it set to 4 centimeters, but if I bring it all the way down to 1, it'll lessen the entire circumference of the tube. So if I bring it to 2, 4, 8, and 25, it enlarges the entire circumference of the tube, not just a little bit. Let's bring that back down. Now let's go to tube height ratio. As you can see, it's at 100, but if I bring it down to 10, it completely flattens it. So it looks kind of like the ribbon tool. And then I go back to 100, and it's actually like a tube with full dimension. Look at that. So it just flattens the tube a little bit. It just flattens it the more you scale it down. Now, tube facets. Tube facets are how many sides the facet has. So if it's at 3, it's going to have 3 sides, like a triangle, versus 4 like a square, 5 like this, a pentagon, 6 like a hexagon, and 10 like a circle. Smooth tubes makes or disabling smooth tubes, as you can see, you can see all the sides have defined shadows on them. But if I enable smooth tubes, all those defined sides get rounded out, so the shading becomes a lot smoother. Drag select size. I will make 3 little scribbly shapes real quick to demonstrate. Drag select size is how big the circle is, so if I have it on precise like this, it's going to be a little tiny circle. If I have it on small, it's going to be, see that outer light yellow area? That's the other part of the select. It's going to be a little bigger. Medium, getting kind of big. That's large. I apologize. Medium, we're getting there. Kind of covers the entire circumference of the little scribble, as you can see. Large, quite big. And then analog is the same size as large, basically. It doesn't do anything. But it just lets you be more precise or more broad with what you're creating. That's it. So, fixed tube width. As you can see, if I have it turned on and I press down all the way, but I slowly, gradually lift my finger off the trigger, it doesn't it doesn't taper the tube. Unlike if I turn it off and do the same thing, that was a bad example, like this, it slowly tapers the tube outwards. And it lets you have precision with the tube you're making, and lets you make it a different size by pressing more gently on your trigger. It's very useful for a more articulate building. Connect nearby tubes. If I make a tube and then I press my if I press my maker pen up right next to it, I can continue building off of that spot. Now, you can't continue building from the front. You can't. You just can't. You can make it look like you continue building from the front, but you can't continue building from the front, I fear. It is 2 separate shapes, unlike this, which is one big shape. So you have to continue from the end of your tube. Show pivot shows you the initial starting point of where you build when you built an object. That's kind of it. It kind of just shows you like where you originally started building. Like if I move this, drop my maker pen, pick it back up, and then edit this, you can still see the original pivot point. So it's decently useful if you want to find where you left off in a build, or where you started off in a build. But other than that, it doesn't really do much. Now, show gadgets when not holding maker pen. As you can see, gadgets, drop the maker pen, they're still there. My circuits are still there. I can still see them. But if I turn this off, I can't see them anymore. So if you want to go to your own room and test it out for yourself like a civilian, but you don't want to see your circuits when you do not have your maker pen open, make sure this feature is off. And that would be it. Play gizmos, obviously, it does what it says it does. If I click it, gizmos stop. If I click it, gizmos play. Delete everything, deletes everything. So, but that was just a short little tutorial on what the second page of all the tube stuff does. So you can get better.
If this video helped you out, go ahead and subscribe to me, Soren Vandal, on YouTube. Anyways, we'll see y'all in the next one.